a little daunting as well. I definitely felt like there was a responsibility to the fans and anyone that's watched this show before, and you know, it definitely wasn't lost on me that people cared about this world so much and these characters, and I think it just motivated me to make sure that I understood where this character was at coming into my journey and where he'd been and what his motivation was moving forward.
I never want to imitate anything that anyone else has ever done. I think there's obviously qualities about this character that are going to be similar, you know, but this is my interpretation of the character, and you know, and I'm aware of how much people care about this character in this world. So, you know, I just tried to do what I thought was most truthful.
Something wild happened last night. Out of nowhere, leaks started spreading claiming that Netflix was preparing an emergency recast for The Witcher 4, and the name attached to that rumor sent the entire fandom into meltdown. Pedro Pascal, the actor behind some of the biggest roles in modern television, suddenly being positioned as the new Geralt of Rivia shocked everyone, especially since Liam Hemsworth was supposed to lead the franchise from this point forward. The reaction was instant. Twitter, Reddit, TikTok, every platform exploded within minutes. Some fans celebrated the idea, calling it the comeback the series needed. Others were furious, saying Netflix had officially lost control of the story, the casting, and the audience itself. And the craziest part is that no one knows if this was a leak, a strategic test, or an actual emergency move behind the scenes. Because if Pedro Pascal really is being considered, it means Netflix has reached a breaking point. It means the backlash from Season 4's trailer, the petitions, the fan campaigns, and the chaos behind the scenes might be far worse than anyone realized. And if these rumors are true, then Liam Hemsworth may be facing the biggest shock of his entire career. And this is only the beginning.
Is Season 4 for The Witcher not looking good so far when it comes to the reviews? When it comes to the critics, right now they're at 55%. But when it comes to the fans, 19% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Let me ask you guys something. Are you excited for Witcher Season 4?
Isn't it out right now on Netflix?
Just coming out, and the reviews have started to drop. So
because I looked on Rotten Tomatoes, and bear in mind, given the backlash, I would expect a little bit of review bombing. So people who haven't seen it but who hate the concept. Oh no, you're behind, Drinker.
Is it changed?
It's down to 17.
The warning signs were there long before the Pedro Pascal rumor exploded. Netflix had already been struggling with the fallout from the Season 4 trailer. A trailer meant to rebuild trust, but ended up tearing the fanbase in half. Dislikes climbed faster than views. Comment sections became full-scale riots, and for the first time, Netflix saw something they weren't prepared for: fans turning away before the season even arrived. Internal reports showed numbers even worse than their recent subscriber losses. Drop-off rates during the trailer were unusually high, and the petition demanding Henry Cavill's return soared past 2 million signatures. Executives realized the franchise wasn't just unstable, it was collapsing in real time. Behind the scenes, the analytics team sent alerts showing predicted viewership for The Witcher 4 falling below expectations. Merchandise slowed, gaming partners backed away, and regional divisions labeled the recast as high risk. With everything slipping, Netflix was forced to face the truth they had ignored for months. The Liam Hemsworth transition wasn't working, and the backlash wasn't fading. For the first time, Netflix began asking a question they never thought they'd ask: who can possibly save this franchise now? Because once Pedro Pascal's name landed on the table, everything changed.
And I guess bringing in a new White Wolf at this point in the season, a bold move and a tall order for Liam.
And of course, he wanted to honor the character that had already been set up, because he knows that he's stepping into a role. But at the same time, he wanted to make sure that his performance was authentic, that it felt like him, that he wasn't playing and mimicking anything. And so
millions of people are canceling their Netflix subscriptions. Why Netflix stock is absolutely tanking right now. I mean, it is just collapsing totally in the red. And you can see that it is on a massive downward slope this month. It's cratering. Why is that happening?
The moment Henry Cavill stepped away, Liam Hemsworth knew the pressure would be intense, but nothing prepared him for the storm that followed the Season 4 trailer. Every platform became a battlefield. Memes comparing him to Henry went viral before Liam even spoke a single line on screen. Reaction channels tore into his brief appearance, calling it stiff, awkward, and cosplay Geralt. Even fans who didn't hate the idea of a recast admitted they couldn't see Liam carrying the franchise the way Henry did. Insiders later revealed that Liam started reading the comments despite being warned not to. He saw the TikToks, the edits, the side-by-side clips captioned with "Spot the downgrade." Friends say the negativity hit him harder than he expected. He stopped doing interviews, turned down early PR opportunities, and pulled back from social media entirely. The excitement he once had began to fade under the weight of a fandom refusing to accept him. His team grew anxious. They pushed Netflix to protect him, to reinforce the new casting, to stand behind him publicly. But Netflix remained quiet, letting the backlash grow. And that silence left Liam wondering whether he was still the future of the series, or just the first casualty of a much bigger mistake. The more the internet dissected his performance, the more Liam felt the pressure build. And deep inside Netflix, executives were beginning to realize something they hoped they'd never face. Liam Hemsworth might not be able to anchor the franchise after all. Once the trailer Backlash hit global headlines, Netflix went straight into crisis mode. Internal meetings were scheduled within hours, pulling in marketing heads, showrunners, and regional executives for late-night calls described as tense and desperate. The numbers looked disastrous, and the recast was quickly identified as the main reason. Departments began offering solutions. Some pushed for reshoots to boost Liam's presence. Others suggested visual changes or even a season delay. But none of it fixed the real problem. Fans didn't want a new Geralt, especially not now. Then the conversations took a sharp turn. A few executives proposed the unthinkable. What if they recast again? At first, the idea seemed impossible, too costly, too chaotic. But the backlash kept growing, and what once sounded extreme began sounding logical. And during those discussions, one name kept returning: Pedro Pascal. The actor who revived Star Wars, the face of The Last of Us, a global magnet for attention. Suddenly, a second recast didn't feel like insanity. It felt like Netflix's last lifeline. For Netflix, Pedro Pascal wasn't just another actor. He was a guarantee, someone who had led massive franchises, won over skeptical fan bases, and brought emotional weight to every role. His name alone generated hype, and executives knew they needed a face strong enough to pull the franchise out of chaos. Analysts said Netflix was impressed by Pedro's global reach. Internal research reportedly listed him among the top actors able to stabilize a high-risk franchise. If The Witcher needed a savior, Pedro was the closest option. Leaks claimed Netflix even tested early concept art showing Pedro with white hair and Witcher armor. The mock-ups weren't meant for the public, but insiders said the boardroom reaction was surprisingly positive. Pedro had the presence, the intensity, the following, and most importantly, he wasn't Liam Hemsworth. Once his name entered the conversation, the recast rumor stopped sounding extreme and started sounding possible. The moment Pedro's name leaked online, the internet split in half. Supporters argued that Pedro would bring maturity, grit, and emotional weight back to the franchise. They said he was the closest spiritual successor to Henry Cavill the series could ever get. Memes, fan art, and AI edits of Pedro as Geralt exploded across Twitter and TikTok. But the other side was furious. They saw the rumor as proof that Netflix had no real direction. Fans accused the studio of desperation, of chasing trends instead of respecting the story. Many argued Pedro was already overbooked. Others said replacing Liam before his first season even aired was humiliating and unfair. At the same time, nostalgia surged. Bring Back Cavill resurfaced instantly. Climbing trending lists across multiple countries, fans insisted that the only real fix for the franchise was bringing Henry back, not swapping one actor for another. Reaction channels uploaded breakdowns minutes after the leak. Gaming forums reopened Witcher threads that had been dead for months. The fandom became louder than ever, split between excitement, rage, and disbelief. And as the noise grew, Netflix found itself caught between two impossible choices: stand by Liam or risk everything in hopes of saving the franchise. While fans battled online, Liam Hemsworth was fighting his own private war. Insiders say the Pedro Pascal rumor hit him harder than anything before. At first, he thought it was just another internet joke. Then his team confirmed Netflix had actually discussed alternative casting options, and everything changed. People close to Liam revealed he felt blindsided. Recasting whispers weren't just rumors anymore. They were real conversations happening without him involved. That realization shook him. He began canceling internal meetings. He paused interviews that were already scheduled. Even the smallest decisions became heavy because he didn't know whether he was still Geralt or just holding the spot for someone else. His team reportedly confronted Netflix asking for clarity. They demanded commitment, assurances, stability, anything that confirmed Liam wasn't being quietly replaced. But Netflix stayed ambiguous. They didn't confirm Pedro. They didn't deny Pedro. They simply said they were evaluating franchise direction. That silence echoed louder than any answer. And for Liam, it felt like the ground beneath him was beginning to crack. What Netflix feared most was happening. Every entertainment outlet began running headlines about the recast rumors. Live streamers covered the story for hours, generating millions of views. Late-night shows joked that the franchise had cycled through more Geralts than monsters. Internal memos warned executives that public trust had collapsed. Advertisers hesitated to attach their brands to Season 4. Influencers backed out of early partnerships. Even gaming companies that previously collaborated with the show stopped responding to outreach. Netflix realized that no matter what direction they chose, backlash was guaranteed. If they kept Liam, fans would call it stubborn and out of touch. If they replaced him with Pedro, critics would call it messy, panicked, and humiliating. And if they tried to bring back Henry Cavill, it would imply Netflix admits they made a catastrophic mistake. Executives found themselves cornered by their own decisions, forced to choose between damaged paths. And with every passing day, the Pedro rumor grew stronger, spreading like wildfire as fans dissected every possible clue. No one could figure out how the rumor started. A random Reddit post, a mysterious IMDb listing, a concept art leak that vanished minutes later? It didn't matter. The internet grabbed onto the story and refused to let go. But insiders whispered something far more interesting. The leak might not have been accidental. Some believed Netflix deliberately allowed the rumor to escape, not to announce a recast, but to test one, to measure reactions, to see which direction created the least damage, to analyze whether Pedro could actually calm the storm that Liam couldn't. Analysts noticed suspicious patterns. The leak spread too fast. Major outlets covered it too quickly. Someone inside clearly wanted this rumor to take off, and Netflix's silence made it even more suspicious. They had denied wild rumors in the past, but this time they said nothing. The lack of denial was the loudest signal yet. Suddenly, millions of fans were asking the same question. Did Netflix leak the Pedro Pascal rumor on purpose? Because if they did, it means they're seriously considering the unthinkable. As the rumor reached its peak, Netflix reportedly split into two camps. One side believed the franchise could be saved by doubling down on Liam and proving critics wrong. The other side insisted that The Witcher had reached the point of no return, and a drastic recast with a powerhouse actor like Pedro Pascal was the only way to revive it. Insiders claimed Netflix even drafted two internal Season 4 plans. Plan A, continue with Liam and rebuild the brand slowly. Plan B, begin negotiations with Pedro and reposition Season 4 as a bold reinvention. Both options carried enormous risks. Both would reshape the show forever, and both would create fallout no one could fully predict. While decisions stalled, the internet waited, refreshing feeds, hunting for clues, convinced a major announcement was coming any moment. For the first time since Henry Cavill left, the future of the franchise hung suspended in total silence. Now, the entire franchise stands at a crossroads. Liam Hemsworth is fighting for the role he trained months to earn. Pedro Pascal's name is reshaping conversations before any official word is given, and Henry Cavill's shadow continues looming over everything, reminding fans of what the show once was. Netflix can't afford another mistake. If they move forward with Liam, they risk losing the core audience. If they replace him with Pedro, the backlash may reach new extremes. And if they attempt to bring back Henry, the story changes again, this time in a way that exposes every decision the studio tried to hide. One thing is undeniable. The Witcher is no longer just a series. It's a battlefield where loyalty, legacy, and trust collide. Fans are louder than ever. Pressure is higher than ever. And Netflix must choose a path that could either save the franchise or destroy it for good. So now the question falls to you. Should Netflix double down with Liam, replace him with Pedro, or fight to bring Henry Cavill back one last time?